going on at that house?
This is why nobody will sit next to us at lunch. You'll see, no ghost!
Heder, come back, please! Heder, I'm serious.
From executive producers Robert Zemeckis and Steven Spielberg.
Don't look back! I look back!
Monster House.
Stupid house.
Welcome back to the 12th annual Halloween special. I am so pumped to be talking about Monster House, which came out in 2006. I'm very nostalgic for this movie, even though I was 18 when it came out and I did not get a chance to see it in theaters. That changed today, though, because there's this thing called Flashback Cinema. Some theaters around the nation have this. There's like one semi-close to my house that does this. And they showed Monster House. And this movie is about three young teenagers who discover that their neighbor's house is really a living, breathing, scary monster. This movie has had an interesting journey for me because in 2006, I had just turned 18 when this movie came out. Same with Cars. And I went and saw Cars, and I remember thinking it was the first mediocre Pixar movie because I was an adult on paper, and I was so excited to see important movies that were intellectual, and I wanted to be challenged. I didn't want to go watch a kids movie. Movies like Cars and Monster House came out at the wrong time for me. Now I love them. I've watched both of those movies a lot, especially because I have kids now of my own, and they've kind of transformed the way I view some films of that era. Last Halloween, not this year, but when they were 2, they had their first real trick or treat because they were finally old enough to kind of get what was going on. And this was the movie we watched on Halloween night, and they had a great time. And even though I liked Monster House before that, ever since then it's kind of taken on a new meaning for me. And I had an interesting experience today at the movie theater. This is a completely true story, is in no way false or fabricated to make this slightly more entertaining. Everything I'm saying is completely true with no exaggeration whatsoever. I'll continue. I have this game on GameCube. Monster House for GameCube. I've had this in my house for a long time. And you might see right here that it says free movie ticket inside. But I think to myself, why would it still be in there? Why do I have this anyway? Okay, we've got a nice little GameCube disc. Always very nice to see. I miss those discs. The instructions. And then lo and behold, a free movie ticket for Monster House. 1 admission up to $7.50. Valid for Monster House only. Through Movie Cash. Expires August 21st, 2006. 18 years won't matter. Believe it or not, they did not accept my free ticket to Monster House, which was quite disappointing. Like I said, completely true story. No lies at all. I made none of that up just to show off the fact that I have this. The first time I saw Monster House was actually on Cartoon Network, and this film captures the fun vibes of Halloween as a kid beautifully. It has everything you could ever want. It's got orange leaves. It's got a really creepy house. It's got your weird best friend staying over and eating a lot of candy. It's got spying on the neighbors. It's got peeing in bottles. All things we do all the time, right? Its characters are also animated hyper-realistically. This was motion capture work, and so little movements that you normally wouldn't see in animation are reflected here. There was a period of time, Robert Zemeckis was responsible for a lot of them, where almost every animated movie that came out was motion capture animated. You had Polar Express, you had Beowulf, A Christmas Carol, and this film, which he produced alongside Steven Spielberg. It also has some surprisingly scary moments for a kids movie. The house is rather terrifying, and it definitely eats kids, like without a doubt. And even though this movie does its best to try to make you know that some of these people are getting out after they are eaten, you spend a large majority of this movie thinking like, okay, so they're dead now. But when you see all the things in this house's basement, which is representative of its stomach, you know this thing has eaten a ton of children. There is no way that all of that stuff ended up down there without a few casualties. Sometimes family movies are not taken as seriously by film buffs, and I completely understand why. It's kind of the same mentality I was in when this movie came out. I wanted to watch very mature things that challenged me and made me think about life and all that stuff. And now that I have kids, I'm looking at movies like Monster House through a completely different lens because they're allowing my kids to experience the feeling of fear in a safe space. And they're understanding what that feels like and what it means, which is giving them a bridge that they can cross, not just to scarier movies in their future, but to understanding how fear works and what that means and what is real and what isn't and what they should be scared of and what they shouldn't be scared of. Movies like Corpse Bride, Coraline, Frankenweenie, Paranorman, these are movies my kids can enjoy now. And I'm watching them thinking, okay, like if I was just kind of like hanging out watching this by myself, it probably wouldn't feel the same as I'm able to look at them and just see this joy and genuine awe as they watch these things unfold before their eyes. But realizing that movies that are made for kids, but obviously still have some fun elements for adults, are 100% valuable for people's film education, but also just how they express their own emotions and deal with fear, really kind of opened my eyes up for the past couple years watching my kids watch movies. And it's also made me appreciate movies like Monster House that do present as a kid's movie that is kind of safe and okay, but actually does explore mortality and death. It does take the risk of scaring your kid just slightly beyond their comfort zone, which a lot of the best Steven Spielberg produced and directed movies have done. Movies like Gremlins or Poltergeist or even Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, all of which had PG ratings, which 100% would never have had that PG rating today, but still, a lot of kids were terrified because of his movies that he produced or directed. I also love all the characters. DJ, the young kid who's pretty sure his neighbor is a psychopath who's spying on him. But you also have Chowder, his best friend, who really wants to go trick-or-treating still, even though DJ thinks he's too old to go trick-or-treating. And a girl named Jenny who gets wrapped up into this as well, and they're both crushing on her. I also like how the whole movie is basically a day. I mean, you have a little bit of the day before Halloween, but most of the movie is on Halloween night. And as these kids get closer and closer to this house, eventually going inside of it, seeing it come alive, noticing that parts of the house on the inside corresponds with parts of our own human body. And of course, as it literally comes alive and begins to stalk them down the road, I run into my only issue with the movie. And that is that nobody in this neighborhood seems to be noticing that this is happening. Like if I was sitting in my living room and I saw a house or even heard a house walking down the road, I would definitely notice. But also, it's on Halloween night, and conveniently, nobody is trick-or-treating on this one road. It's like everything waits to start until after they solve their problems with this house. It's really the only thing about the movie that I watched it tonight thinking like, logically, I'm having issues here, but at the same time, it's a house that's alive that's trying to eat children. I shouldn't care that much. I've had an interesting journey with Monster House because I never got to see it back in the day until Cartoon Network. I remember thinking, oh, this is a nice little fun movie. Then I watched it more and more over the years, especially because my wife loves it. And now that my kids are into it, it's created this whole other thing for me where films are becoming greatly enhanced by watching how much they love them, which is a beautiful experience I truly never expected to have. I hope you guys check out Monster House this Halloween. It's a ton of fun. Thank you so much as always for watching. Look forward to more videos in the 12th annual Halloween special coming very soon. And if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.